All right, we're up and rolling again here at Twin Peaks, Buckhead, and ready to do this thing tonight. And we'll get everybody populating in here, and we'll get the conversation going. It's the beginning of SEC Championship weekend. Looking out the window here at Twin Peaks and Buckhead, of everybody moving on the streets out there, and the sun setting over there. Look at a little bit of a purple haze on the horizon. What's been a beautiful weather day here, but we're inside the dome tomorrow. Many ways you can participate with us over the next 2 hours. We'll be sitting here having the conversation with our folks at Twin Peaks, and we'll play you what we have with Pete Futek tomorrow on our show. We talked to Pete Futek about that. We'll be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're here for the next couple hours. We'll have Mike Griffith and Charles Barkley with us in the next hour of the show. We look forward to talking to them. This is the Johnston RV Center SEC Roadshow from Atlanta, and it's brought to you by our friends at Johnston RV Center.
JohnstonRVCenter.com is where you go. It's home to Cherokee America's #1 selling camper brand. Our boys Rodney and Nick Johnston there on I-65, exit 304 in Coleman and exit 334 in Decatur.
Okay, I'll start things off by just asking you guys, right off the bat here. We're finally getting to talk about football games, but it's been a heck of a week of coaching carousel. And, Brownie, I'll start with you. You've got an opportunity with Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley of stealing the headlines to put this back on the field this weekend with these championship games, which start tonight. A big one with the Pac-12 and the Conference USA Championship and all of them tomorrow. So, really, finally, we get away from the coaching.
They don't want to lose the conference championship game in the news cycle. And, the moving up the signing date has affected that, Lance. But I'm with Jim. I'm glad we are finally back to just talking about football. I enjoy the coaching carousel, but this could be a really fun football weekend.
Well, it could be, and you think about the chaos that could ensue. Now, the hypothetical worst-case nightmare scenario for the playoff committee is Alabama beats Georgia, Michigan, and Cincinnati, and Oak State. They went out. That's what people are talking about, because then you got to make a decision: is it Cincinnati or is it Oklahoma State? But there could be a bigger nightmare scenario if you have some upsets this weekend. Excluding Georgia. I mean, what do you guys do if Michigan loses, Alabama loses, Cincinnati loses, and Oklahoma State loses?
All right, say it again. Here we go. We got Michigan losing.
So Georgia's in. You've got Michigan losing to Iowa.
Okay.
You've got Alabama losing to Georgia.
Yep.
You've got Cincinnati losing to Houston, and you've got Oak State losing to Baylor. All possibilities. And I really don't know outside of Georgia. I mean, I guess you put Notre Dame in. They jumped from 6, right?
How many losses would Iowa have at that point?
They would have 2. And there's no way a 2-loss Iowa's getting in.
Lance, you can't put a 2-loss Michigan.
Nope, because they just lost to them.
In front of a 2-loss Iowa national or Big Ten championship team.
Can't put a 2-loss Ohio State in front of them.
No, Iowa's got to be in.
You can't put Ole Miss in there. A team that lost to Alabama by 21 points. It's funny to talk about, but I love chaos, and I'd love to see a scenario like that, because I don't know what the committee would do.
I think the scenario is too crazy to actually happen. It's just too much chaos. If we didn't want it to happen, if you were sitting here today saying, "Boy, the last thing we want is for this to happen,"
but let me ask you: you guys think Baylor's going to beat Oak State, right?
I do think Baylor wins that game.
You think Alabama's going to lose to Georgia?
I do.
So the only 2 other things you need is Cincinnati to lose to a Houston team that's won 11 straight, and for Iowa, for Michigan to play Michigan, what Jim Harbaugh typically does in a big game.
Yeah. No, those 4 games are very realistic for happening.
And then that's a nightmare for the committee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why some people keep alive the hope of Alabama, even losing the game and getting in, because their losses would be to Georgia and Texas A&M, and they've been perceived as being a top 4 team all year.
I think Alabama would be in. I think Baylor might be in. It might be Alabama, Baylor, Notre Dame, and Georgia. That's insane.
That is insane. Well,
Georgia with a win over Alabama already in their pocket. That would be crazy. All right, so we'll get to the games here, and we'll get rolling. Our show being brought to you in part by our friends at Vulcan Tire and Automotive Land.
Yeah, locally owned and operated. Just great guys. Brownie just got some new tires on the 4Runner this week. We rode over checking those things out. But anything you need bumper to bumper, these guys can handle, whether it's the wheel alignment, the tires, the brakes, you need to get the car winterized. Stop and see them. 4 locations and online, VulcanTireAndAuto.com.
Our boy Jeremy Purvis here says, can we get a zoom on the bottom right camera and less zoom on us?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's happening here at Twin Peaks. And listen.
There you go. Look, they like the music too.
There we go. That is the scene here as we talk a little football and dance a little bit down the hallway there. We're here on the main floor, as you can tell, with some unique music. You don't hear these played at family restaurants very often. No, my wife said
that last song wanted something.
Yeah.
Weren't you in a Chinese joint one time, Brown?
Yeah, I was. Yes.
Yeah, and weren't they just throwing out 2 live crew?
Hardcore F-bomb rap.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Well, they were desiring something not on the menu. I don't think here a little bit.
I'm not sure.
In a classic song. Maybe it's on the menu. I don't know.
Not sure.
But there's no kids menu here. I told Maggie, she's like, why are you at Twin Peaks? I said, they're a great sponsor. Looking forward to being at Twin Peaks. She said, I bet you are. And I said, well, it's not a bad place to eat. And she's like, of course it's not. It's like, it's not family friendly. I said, it is family friendly.
It's all over the place. 29-degree beer.
Oh, all right. Well, they're wrestling now. Here we go.
Let's get out of hand at the
It's going to get crazier. They've got a prohibition repeal party a little bit later on. So swing on by.
No, I mean, literally, half the staff here, or I don't know if it's their staff or if somebody from do we have a liquor that's involved with the promotion?
I really don't. I can't see a liquor on there, Jim.
Anyway, half the girls here are just in lingerie and pearls.
That is accurate, yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it was in 1930.
Well, I was about to say, is that what prohibition looked like?
Hey, give me a time machine.
There's still alcohol.
Well, give me a speakeasy and a time machine. I'm good to go.
Well, we're here tonight. You don't have to go anywhere, LT, and you get to see good football tomorrow. All right, here we go. The pressure on Kirby Smart. Let's talk about that for a few seconds. Is it real? And where does it come from, and how does he get rid of it?
Yeah, it's real. Again, Kirby has never beaten Nick Saban, and this has been the ultimate hump. If Kirby wins in 2017, obviously, they win a national championship. They win in 2018, they win an SEC championship. They go on, and who knows, maybe they win another national championship. And, games have played out. This has been the thorn in the side of Georgia, and that's why I believe – you talk about on the field and how dominant that defense has been, and they've looked like the elite team, and Alabama at times has looked like a slightly above average team. But mentally, there's got to be something that sits in the back of Georgia's head that knows that Alabama is that hill they've yet to be able to climb.
Yeah, Dunaway, I'm with what you're saying here. Let's say best case scenario for Alabama, okay? Let's play best case scenario here.
Right.
Opening kickoff. First possession, whether it's a big play to Jamison Williams or a drive or whatever, up 7-0, right? Get a 3-and-out, drive again, get 10, score 7, whatever the case is. You're up 10-0, 14-0. How does Georgia react to that? It's a situation they've not been in all season long.
Yeah, a lot of people would hope they would panic and put JT Daniels in.
Oof.
Total out of character, anything they've done all year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they would panic entirely, Lance, and screw the whole thing up, but I think everybody kind of wants to see how they would react. We just haven't seen it this year.
Yeah, you really haven't. I mean, Georgia's they've been in control the entire season. The only time you've had to see Georgia sweat was against Clemson, and that was at a point we didn't realize how bad Clemson was going to be. I say that, and Clemson ended up 9-3. By Clemson standards, we didn't realize how bad that offense was going to be. But these other Georgia games just haven't even been close.
No, they have not. I mean, they were down to Tennessee. They were tight with Clemson and tight with Florida until Florida completely melted down at the end of the first half.
Yeah, but outside of that, Brown, I mean, they beat UAB by 49. UAB scored in a second-half pick six. 27 over South Carolina, 62 over Vanderbilt, 37 over Arkansas, 24 injured. Kentucky scored that last second touchdown. That was really a 30-7 game.
Let me say the Auburn game, I'm not going to be able to remember the score, but when they're driving there, they were going to cut it to 10 if they scored a touchdown there, I think. I mean, I'm not saying that's a tight or maybe to 7. And then the Kentucky game right before the half, I think Georgia scored. I think that was kind of a tight game right before the half. But, I mean.
But it was 30-7 with a minute to go.
And that's what I was saying. Look at what we're having to do. We're just having to dig to find Georgia having to play close games. They just haven't played close games.
Well, and that's what's interesting, Dunaway, because, talking to Luganville a few weeks ago, he said, look, Alabama gets through Arkansas, they get through Auburn, they're going to be battle-tested when they roll into that SEC championship. And Georgia hasn't been battle-tested. And, look, we see it in the NCAA tournament every year. You get a Gonzaga that blows all these teams out. When they get in a tight game, sometimes they fall apart.
Yeah. So that's what Alabama fans are hoping will happen tomorrow. Part of our show tonight being brought to you by the great folks with Dr. Pepper.
College football fans, what started as a season full of rivalries, close calls, and many cold cans of sweet Dr. Pepper is now coming to a close. So
who are serving up the ice-cold Dr. Pepper to a lot of SEC football fans who are rolling into here tonight. A great place to eat before you're out at the clubs in Buckhead and get ready for the championship game tomorrow. We talked about the crowd that's going to be over here and how Alabama fans and tickets have been going. Doesn't seem to be the toughest ticket we've ever seen over here, though Georgia fans are clamoring to get here, but it's a good ticket. Not a great ticket, but a good ticket. And I'm expecting 70-30 Georgia fans tomorrow or worse, but 70-30 bottom.
I think 70-30 is right. I really do. And I think only not the lot of Bama fans that I know.
I mean, I've not done polling here, right? I don't know. We did a poll question. I can see if I can dig back and find it on the next round. We did a poll.
I saw
question.
it this morning.
What did it look like?
It was, will you sell your tickets?
Sell or use, basically, was the question, right?
And more said that they were undecided, I think.
Undecided, see? They're thinking. They're thinking.
If you're undecided on rolling over, of course, being a fan, whatever your team is, you think once you get to game time that you're going to win that game.
Right. You do. You will convince yourself.
Yeah, so maybe fans, have a couple of cocktails tonight. They wake up in the morning. They talk themselves into it tonight. They get 4 in the morning and they drive over.
58% using, 30% selling, 12% undecided.
Yeah.
So, 70-30.
Yep.
I brought this up on the next round earlier today. If A&M doesn't have that remarkable game out of Calzada, and this is 12-0 versus 12-0, I don't think I'm going to the game tomorrow. I know you guys would be there covering it for us,
right,
but I don't think I would go.
Because
there's no intrigue at all.
Yeah, because the outcome doesn't matter, just seeding at that point.
Yeah, and then you figure, hey, we're going to see these teams again in Indianapolis. I'll wait for the national championship.
Yeah.
I mean, this game means so much on the Georgia side because we've got to slay that dragon. It means so much to Kirby. And then on the other side, obviously, Alabama's got to win this game to get in. And again, if they win, they're going to be the number 1 overall seed. And if they face Georgia again in how long is that, a month? They're going to be favored in that game.
If Georgia wins this game, could they be the number 1 seed still?
If Georgia wins?
Yeah. Had they just beat Alabama, because then you're going to have 2 one-loss teams, and you're going to say –
if Alabama wins.
Excuse me, if Alabama wins.
Okay.
Yeah, if Alabama wins.
No, I don't think there's any way you could –
number 1?
No, I don't think there's any way you could see them in front of Alabama being the conference champion.
One loss conference championship, beat them head-to-head.
Now, neither one may be the 1 seed. They may jump Michigan up there if they beat Iowa, but –
don't you? I mean, they've been dominant all year.
I don't. I think you would have 1 seed Michigan,
right?
2 seed Alabama, 3 seed. No, you can't because they would play.
See,
Alabama's going to be your 1 seed.
It's so tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's politics.
I just really, Georgia only losing the last game to Alabama on a neutral field. Alabama losing on the road to Texas A&M. It goes back to the old, Georgia's loss would be better, but of course Alabama would have the best win at that point. So yeah, I guess it'd be 1. Should be 1 and 2, but it probably would be 1 and 2.
Here's one thing Kirby Smart is fighting. Smuff says if Kirby doesn't win this game, he even more becomes Richt part due. I mean, he's always been compared, at this point in his career, Mark Richt had this, and had this. Now Kirby Smart has a chance to permanently separate himself from that comparison if he can win 3 more football games.
Well, I never remember Mark Richt being in this situation where he's a heavy favorite to not only win a conference championship, but to go on and win a national championship. Can you guys remind me of when that happened?
He wasn't. And he was never in this conversation because, as Dunaway's pointed out many times this week, this is the first time since World War II they've been 12-0.
Yeah, since 1980, 41 years ago, that they're finally 12-0 again. the year they won their national championship. Craneworks is part of our coverage all year in football. All the great guests and the great folks at Craneworks and Rental Works bringing you John Parker Wilson and Wimp Sanderson and John Mechie and Bo Nix all year long. It's been fantastic having them along for the ride.
And just when you think Craneworks can't grow anymore, boy, did they do it. David Upton and the folks there at Craneworks have their new Wasteworks division. If you're planning to renovate or an end-of-the-year clean-out, Wasteworks offers dumpster rentals that can be delivered right to your home or business. Visit wasteworksusa.com. That's wasteworksusa.com for more details.
Speaking of last time we were here in an SEC championship with Georgia and Alabama playing each other, it didn't go well for Kirby. In fact, he has had 3 of the 6 straight losses, and every one of them, been a heartbreaker.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, he is. I tell you what, I'm not going to say probably. As an assistant coach, there's no more painful stadium for Kirby Smart than Jordan-Hare Stadium. You'd grant me that one, right? As an assistant.
As an assistant.
As an assistant,
yes.
Yeah. As a head coach, there can't be a more painful stadium for him than Mercedes-Benz.
So it would be the number one. It exceeds what happened to him at Jordan-Hare as an Alabama assistant.
I mean, think about it. Think about the 2 scenarios that have played out on him on that field. I mean, there's a lot of pain for Kirby Smart on that turf.
Well, as good as this program's been, and I think everybody considers it one of the top 5 elite programs right now in college football, but in year 6, if they were to lose this game tomorrow and they don't win the national championship, it would be 2 losses again. Like, Kirby's never had a 1 loss or better season. And that would be 6 years. That's hard to believe.
That is.
And so, you brought it. You were the first to bring it up, Dunaway, about a month ago. If Kirby somehow loses to Alabama and then turns around and loses again and doesn't win a national championship, and Alabama gets him twice, you can't recover from that.
You may never recover from that. Predictions coming in on Twitter on our feed as well. Sammy says he likes Georgia by 12 in this game. Georgia by 12.
Interesting number.
Really looking for a score in that, but a 12-point game, something like 34, that's 16, 20,
26-14.
26-14.
Math on the fly.
28-16, 28-18, 28-17, somewhere around there. That'd be, I guess a lot of people see it that way, right?
Yeah, let's start with the simple thing that Georgia has not given up more than 17 points in any game this year. Does Alabama score more than 17?
Well, I'm about to contradict myself because I made the prediction of 20-17, so you would say your answer is no. I think they can, obviously. I don't know if they will, though. I mean, it's weird for me to say that because I think, it would, if they score more than 17, would I be shocked? Not at all. But will they? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I think 20-17 is a pretty good score for this game.
I think they're going to be right around that number. Let me check a team total on them, see if I can pull that right now.
Team total on Alabama?
On Alabama, yeah. I mean, there's 49, 6.5. Yeah, they're assuming that Alabama is going to score more than the 17.
Wow.
Vegas is.
I mean, give me the point total where if you knew Alabama hit that point total, you would say, okay, I think Alabama's in pretty good shape here.
30.
And so nobody scored.
Well, the thing is dominant
17.
Alabama's defense has been at times, yeah, that's where I was going. As dominant as that defense has been at times, it's been equally bad at times. I mean, it was bad against Arkansas.
It was absolutely bad against Arkansas. You can't lie. I mean, you can't argue that one. It's fantastic at Auburn, fantastic at Mississippi State, fantastic for most of the game against Ole Miss. I mean, there have been times where it's been fantastic, not just good, but fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah. And that's what they've got to have to win this thing. On the other side, can they protect Bryce Young? Every story I click on, Brown, it has that same headline right here. Can Alabama protect Bryce Young?
What's your answer, Jim?
Well, if I just go up, last time I saw that Alabama offensive line, my answer would be no. And then every time I see Georgia, they're eating the lunch of the quarterback they're playing. So my answer would be no and no. Can Alabama protect Bryce Young?
No.
I don't think they can.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, I don't know that the offensive line can protect him. Can Bill O'Brien protect him with play calling? Yeah.
Well, that's what you're going to have.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to call plays that can neutralize a pass rush. But, I mean, when have you seen them do that? When have you seen them run screens and things like that can, not take advantage of your bad offensive line, but mask your bad offensive line? I mean, they haven't really run a lot of that stuff this year.
Mike Griffith coming up at the top of the hour here. It's our Johnston RV Center. roadshow from the SEC Championship. LT, we need some Bud Light flowing over here to get the evening started. And a lot of you folks who are at home, I hope you I wish you could all be here with us as we get ready for one of the more interesting weekends in Alabama football history recently. I mean, really, it really is.
There's a large group of people over there that can make Bud Light happen, I think.
Yeah. One of us has to get up. We don't have an
Wait, so
producer.
I guess I should have asked you guys. We're not going to break it all?
Oh,
no. This is it.
Live stream for 2 hours.
I'll be back with a couple of beers. Okay,
okay, all right.
Very good.
Y'all.
Yep. I'm going to mute your mic right there. You know what I want, right? Yeah. All right.
No.
Well, you know what I drink.
Yeah.
Not a White Russian.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yes, that'll work. Johnston RV Center. Is that who I'm supposed to be talking about here?
Yes.
They're going to love the laid back portion of this 2 hours here. Rodney and Nick Johnston, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman and 334 in Decatur. Exclusive lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on all new models and used models under 2 years old. Financing is available. It's home to Cherokee America's #1 selling camper brand, JohnstonRVCenter.com. That's JohnstonRVCenter.com.
If I had a band and I called it Contact High, would that be a good name for a band? There's probably already one out there.
What kind of
right?
music you play?
I don't know. Any kind of music. I really wouldn't care, right? It's Contact High.
I mean, I think if you're playing if you were playing Grateful Dead and stuff like that, I think Contact High would be a good cover band.
There probably is already a cover band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you asking that? Do you feel like you got a Contact High?
Well, did you not just get the wind just blew down this way from whatever?
You smell a skunk?
Wherever that was coming from. It was a very obvious smell there. Getting ready for the SEC Championship. We got football tonight that we're going to be enjoying here at Twin Peaks in Buckhead. Going at 6 o'clock Central, so 7 o'clock Eastern. We got the Conference USA championship game where you get Western Kentucky going against UTSA. And, boy, that Western Kentucky team's been hot. And then the Pac-12 championship is tonight as well. Looking forward to that. Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the call with Holly Rowe out in Vegas for Oregon. As they
my God,
just smell, man.
How big did they roll that one?
Oregon.
Holy crap.
Oregon and Utah doing battle there.
I mean,
it's awkward that LT left.
You smell this?
Get in front of the camera. Get in front of the camera.
Yes.
You get in front of the camera.
You get in front of the camera right there.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Here, I'll turn your mic. I'll turn the mic back off. I mean, this whole joint smells like a skunk.
Oh, anyway.
Woo.
SEC, you're gonna have to take over, man.
Man, why? Are you high now?
No. Well, so as we get ready for LT to return here in a second, we talk a little bit about those championship games tonight. We were talking earlier. Is there a chance? Is there a chance Oregon gets Utah tonight? Utah spanked them pretty good, 38-7.
Lance thinks Oregon's going to win. What do you think? I mean, Utah just drilled them. I don't think that's going to happen again. But boy, that is a big gap to make up, isn't it?
It is, and especially with Cam Rising being as good as he's been playing. But it seems like for Kyle Whittingham, they win a lot of big games. They just don't win the right ones, it seems like.
Well, I mean, you look at them and they play good football every year, and then it seems like you look at them at the end of the year and they're 9-3, and you're like, how do you lose those 3 games as good as you could play? Like when you watch them dominate Oregon, the way they played that game, didn't you look at them and say, how do they have any losses in the Pac-12? Much less, basically having to fight to get in this championship game. So, yeah, I mean, that is an interesting game to me because it does feel like Oregon could win this game, though that is a lot to make up.
Yep. So that's the Pac-12 championship happening tonight. LT does like Oregon to win the game, don't you?
I do, yeah. It's my lock today. I like Oregon a lot. They're 4-0 when they play in this game, 4 championships, and I think Mario Cristobal gets another one. To me, Utah's been – since Cam Rising took over, by far the best team in the Pac-12. I've just got that feeling that Utah doesn't come to play tonight.
Is somebody over there fighting glaucoma?
Don't know, my friend.
Oh, yeah, you do. You smell that.
It's coming from outside.
Well, I would think so.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Man, that's a strong one.
There were a couple of guys that walked by the front door, and they were, I guess it's legal in Oregon, right? Talking to Oregon.
It's true. I mean, they're just celebrating the Pac-12 championship.
No, I think you can have medicinal pass in Georgia, too.
I don't know. Well, those guys, I hope they feel better soon.
They left quite a trail, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, crap.
All right. So, try to get this thing back on the rails here.
All right, I'll do it right here. All right.
I think they told him to get lost. I think that's what happened. It was at the front door, and then,
they left something behind.
Yep.
Hey, listen, part of our coverage here in Atlanta presented by our friends at Wayne's Pest Control, serving more than 100,000 customers across Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi since 1973. Let our good friends at Wayne's take care of all your pest control needs. They might not be able to do anything about your cousin Eddie, but they can protect your home from all the other pests you don't want showing up around holidays.
That's a funny line.
I like it. They take great care of us. They'll take great care of you. 866-WAYNES-1. That's 866-WAYNES-1, or visit callwaynes.com. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Brown's got his Diet Dr. Pepper ready to go now, and we're
probably quite a shot.
And you can always comment in our chat room and also on Twitter, and that's where our next question comes in. That is Zach, and he is asking us if we could dial up a big play for Alabama. What do you see as a big play for Alabama? A key star, somebody who's going to be the go-to guy?
It's going to be Jamison. I didn't realize how good this guy was going to be, and he seems like he gets better and better. And then we finally – you knew the importance of Jamison when he got ejected last week.
Yep.
And the offense completely stalled out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great with him in there, but once he got ejected, they could do nothing.
But he is a guy that can absolutely take the top off the defense. So you got to take multiple shots. Again, in order to get those shots, you got to have some time for Bryce Young. But I think Bill O'Brien will dial up, and I think he'll dial it up early. You want to get Georgia down in this game. Georgia has not had to sweat a game out yet.
Yeah, I mean, you ask about a key play. They have got to get a deep ball to Jamison Williams. And I'll tell you what else that does, guys, maybe you don't get points out of it, right? But you know what deep balls to Jamison Williams do? It backs those safeties off. It keeps those linebackers honest. You open up whatever run game Alabama could possibly have. And it may not even be the run game, but just some play action. If you can have a few runs to slow down that pass rush.
The Alabama quick slants were so good with the guys they've had in the past, but I think this receiving core has gotten better running with the football after the catch than where they were the Miami game and early on. To be able to catch a short pass and turn a 5-yard catch into a 15-yard play, this receiving core has gotten better with doing that as the season went on.
Well, I'm really surprised with Cameron Latu. We saw, his impact against Miami early on. And then Billingsley coming off of last year, we thought he was going to be special. And these tight ends, if they could somehow, I don't want to say get motivated, that's probably not fair to them. But if Bill O'Brien could find a way to get them really involved in this game plan, they have been underutilized the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, that Bill. The catch he made on third down at the Iron Bowl was like his third catch since October 15th or something like that.
Right.
I mean, it's some sort of crazy stat I read on that. I mean, it's just insane that's how out of this offense he's been. It's a guy that looked like he could be a dominant player. We talked so much about Brock Bowers earlier today. The fact that Billingsley isn't a Brock Bowers is amazing to me.
It really is. I mean, again, we've brought this up a million times, but I can never remember a tight end returning a kick.
Yeah, and he did it all year last year.
Yeah, and that's what we saw out of Billingsley. And a lot of people believed he was in Saban's doghouse, and I guess he was early this year. But, he's on the field now. Why not utilize the guy? He's obviously a dynamic player.
I can't answer that question. I mean, it was a pretty important spot where Bryce Young went to him last week. I mean, that's fourth down, right?
Yep.
And if he drops that ball or, bobbles it and is headed out of bounds, that game's over. Alabama loses the football game. So it was as critical all year. Bryce Young did look Jaleel Billingsley's way.
Another thing that's amazing, I sit there and for whatever reason, I've got Kirby's record pulled. And in 6 years, he's got one SEC championship. And if I'm a Georgia fan, again, if you don't close the deal tomorrow, I know it's about ultimately the national championship, but to say Kirby had gone 6 years with only one SEC championship, that's kind of hard to believe.
It is. That is hard to believe.
Because the East's been pretty easy to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has been. It's been easier to win than the West.
That would be disappointing. And it has been a lot easier. You guys were talking about, Brock Bowers or somebody running in space against that Alabama defense, or Billingsley doing it to the Georgia defense. Bowers becomes the guy who everyone is expecting to have a big game, mainly because of Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris. So Alabama's linebackers against the receiving running backs and the freshman phenom Brock Bowers. How do you like those matchups?
I like Alabama's matchup. I don't know if anybody really matches up well with Brock Bowers. I think he's that good. Again, he's been underutilized because I don't think Georgia's really had to use him. It's again, they've been up by 21, 28 in all these games, and the freshman's averaging a little over 3 receptions per game. But I do like Bama's matchup defensively. Georgia, outside of Clemson, has not seen a defense close to this, and you saw what Clemson did to them. Clemson held that offense 3 points.
3 points. That's exactly right, and no offensive touchdowns. Champies and Dr. Pepper bringing you the our road show here today from over in Atlanta, Georgia. We're at Buckhead and at Twin Peaks. But when you can't be right here right now, we always recommend our friends at Champy's when you're on 119 in Alabaster. Champy's world-famous chicken. See the website. Sterling's a great supporter of our program. He loves college football, and he loves taking care of you guys. He also serves up cold Bud Lights down there at Champy's Chicken. It's your home for blues, brews, and bird. It's Champy's Chicken. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
A nice cold Bud Light. And don't forget Champy's Chicken with those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales and chicken on a stick. You'll love them right there.
My God, that's cold.
On Highway 119
It did.
in Alabaster.
My hand got a little cold passing it over to you.
What this place is known for.
Also, don't forget Dr. Pepper, college football fans. What started as a season full of rivalries, close calls, and many cold cans of sweet Dr. Pepper is now coming to a close. So raise the Dr. Pepper to celebrate another glorious season of football in Fansville by Dr. Pepper. The one fans deserve.
What was an SEC championship game you guys look most forward to? Like, I'm really looking forward to this one tomorrow. Last year, I really didn't care. 18, it was kind of exciting. I liked 17, Auburn, Georgia, the rematch. I was excited about that one.
It ended up being a bad game.
See, I wasn't because Carry-On was hurt. A lot like this one with Brian Robinson going in. Carry-On being hurt took away a lot from that game because I knew if he wasn't 100%, Auburn couldn't beat Georgia, and I feel sort of the same way about Alabama and Brian Robinson.
But in that game, Brown, if Auburn would have won, they would have become the first 2-loss team in a college football playoff. And with Georgia winning, it gave them an opportunity to go on and play for a national championship. Obviously, 08 and 09, the Alabama-Florida matchups, those were great.
Yeah.
Those were good. Other than those two, 2012 Alabama-Georgia.
Fantastic.
It was a great game, and I was looking forward to that because we knew the winner was going to get Notre Dame and the loser was going to be out, and we felt like those were the two best teams in the country, and they were having to play the national championship game here in Atlanta.
Here's what Michael says on Facebook. I keep thinking Kirby pulls a Saban and plays JT for the second half.
There's no chance.
I think you've seen the end of. I think you've seen the end of JT Daniels.
I think we will see. I think JT is. I think he likes Athens, from what I hear. I think he likes it a lot.
Yep.
I think JT will buy his time for the rest of the year, and then I think we'll see him in the portal in January.
From Jeff, do you think Will Anderson has a big game?
When does he not?
That's true. I mean, now he got that early sack against Auburn, and he had a bunch of tackles for losses. But when he got that first sack, he did, that play that they run an awful lot. And I thought, my gosh, first possession, big sack. Well, this guy's going to have a monster game.
He had the 3.5 tackles for loss. He had the 1 sack on that first possession. But there was a play that Finley turned right, where if he would have turned left, Anderson would have got the sack. And I forgot who got it because he turned right. And then there was another one that he was just behind the sack on that one, so didn't get credited. So he was really close to 3 sacks. I think he's at least going to get a sack, and Will Anderson's going to play Will Anderson. I mean, he's to me the best player in the country.
Yeah, I agree. And now he could have a massive impact on this game. I just don't think Georgia. And listen, I will come on the show Monday and tell you how wrong I am if I am wrong in this. I just don't think Georgia can line up and run the football the way they have on Alabama. This is a team that has had 2 straight, I don't have it in front of me, I think 230 plus for 3 straight games. Excuse me, not 2 straight, 3 straight games. I don't think they can do that to Alabama. In fact, I think they'll have to fight to get much more than 100. It's a good run team, but I think they'll have to fight to get much more than 100 rush yards against Alabama.
Boy, there's some times with Pete Golding as a coach, and some of that you go back to last year, that the ability to – well, let's just go back to Florida. Second, third, and fourth quarter Florida. How
Right.
easily they ran the football.
I know. Makes no sense.
That's the scary part.
But that was the last team that had a really good run day on Alabama. Everybody else has been right at or under 100 yards.
So how much of that is personnel?
Well,
those teams just weren't good at running the
I'll tell you
football.
what, a lot of it was in that Florida game was the quarterback runs. You had a lot of quarterback runs when Emory Jones decided finally to pull it down and start running. I'd have to go back and look. It'd take me too long to get there, but his rush yards that day, I bet you he was close to 100 rush yards.
Well, this is not a lot of balance on this Georgia team. We talk about, Bill O'Brien, whether Alabama fans like him or not, he's got a very balanced offense. Alabama's thrown the football 442 times. They've run it 447. Georgia, because of those leads, 450 rushes, only 302 pass attempts.
Yeah, Emory Jones had 19 carries, 76 yards in that game against Alabama, Jim. And now, listen, Stetson Bennett's a mobile quarterback.
He is.
If Stetson Bennett has that day, Alabama's in deep trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Deep trouble.
Stetson Bennett's averaging, and obviously sacks are taken into account here. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry.
Yes. Such an underrated athlete. His athletic skills to run the football at the right time has been really good this year.
Yeah. You cannot let him just run right. In fact, he needs to fight to be over zero, because if he fights to be over zero, that means Will Anderson has gotten to him. The safety gotten to him, and that is very, very critical.
Okay, we've got Mike Griffith coming up at the top of the hour. Let's have a little fun. During the week, we do a Vulcan Tire 3 and Out. So let's roll through these. We each ask one question of the other two about the SEC championship game in very 3 and Out fashion.
Let me. I need to produce. I need to produce real quick on the fly here. Mike wants to be back at his hotel to have a good video connection, so he's probably more like 5 or 10 after. So we got plenty of time here.
All right.
If you want to go 6 and Out,
3 and Out, and then we'll discuss something else. So let's go 3 and Out. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
First down.
Bigger number: Brock Bowers touchdowns or Will Anderson sacks?
I'll go Will Anderson sacks. I think Will Anderson will have 3 sacks in this game, which is a lot. Yeah, I do. I think I have 3 sacks in this game.
That will win him the Heisman if Alabama wins the game. 3 sacks, Alabama win. He wins the Heisman.
Really? In front of Bryce Young?
I think so.
And I think I'll give Bowers a single touchdown. So 3-1.
I'll go 2-1, even not as dynamic, or 1-1. But I think Bowers gets a touchdown, but I would not say he has the day everyone's expecting him going to have.
Shackle down. Shackleford. That is exactly what I was.
Down.
Exactly what I was thinking. Leading receiver for Alabama in terms of yards.
That's going to be Jameson Williams. I think he's going to, again, my headline today was 2 shots at Jameson. I think he has 2 big balls. I think he goes 150 tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
So you got to go to the locker room to confirm that?
I think he goes 150. I really do.
150 yards of receiving.
Yep.
And 2 over-the-top touchdown passes to Jameson, a couple of shots at Jameson.
I mean, Mechie gets so much underneath and runs with it. And, I don't know how much of that yardage is going to be there against Georgia. But Mechie, he's in the discussion for this.
Yep. I'll play the other one then. I'll play the
third down.
I know. I'll play the guy that everybody wants it to be. They want it to be an O.J. Howard-like night for Jaleel Billingsley. So I'll go Jaleel Billingsley, combination Billingsley and Latu, the tight end position. How about that?
Okay.
Put that together. All right.
So just the tight end spot. If I just gave you the tight end spot, Billingsley plus Latu, you'll say that's your leading receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, if Billingsley had a game.
Well, that's what everyone wants, right?
What a heck of a comeback there.
That's what they want. They want this to be like O.J. Howard against Clemson. They think that guy has that.
Henry is on Twitter. He says, I'm an Auburn fan here, but Mechie needs to be the guy underneath for down and distance. Home runs are great. Singles win this game. That's from an Auburn fan. I think that's an excellent perspective there.
That's a great point. You know what he saw his team do? He saw his team in that very first drive march it down the field against Georgia and stick it in the end zone for a touchdown. And that's how Auburn got up early in that game. And it was a great drive right out of the gate. And they did that with a lot of underneath stuffs and an occasional run. We can talk more about that in a moment, but I'll ask you. Let me do third down.
Yeah, third down.
Third down. Bryce Young rushing yards over under 60.
I think it'll be under Lance because of the sack yardage.
Yeah.
I mean, as magical as he is at avoiding the rush, he's not going to be able to avoid every sack. So, I mean, much like in the Auburn game where they just were able to tee off on him over that right side, Georgia's going to do the same thing.
But think about Kirby Smart's time in Tuscaloosa. What was the quarterback that always beat him?
The mobile quarterback.
The mobile quarterback. Think about Bryce Young, and you got all that man coverage, and he's avoiding the blitz. It made it through one side, but they blocked good on the other side, and he's able to escape out the back door.
Well,
for long runs. Deshaun Watson did that a lot in the game in the desert that Alabama won.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any designated runs, but this might be a situation where Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban tell Bryce, hey, look, when you've got opportunities, take off.
Yeah.
Because, we've talked about all season, the one player Alabama's suffered from injuries all year, the one player they can ill afford to lose is Bryce Young. Well, this is a game, you got to lay it all out there because you lose this game, season's over.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want the kid to get hurt, obviously. He's got an amazing future in front of him, but you lose this game and you're playing in what will be a somewhat meaningless New Year's Six game. So, I mean, like you said, you just got to lay it all on the line. This is it, man.
4th down.
So, number of quarterbacks to throw a pass, 2.5. Over or under 2.5 quarterbacks throw a pass.
So, basically, I'm asking, is JT Daniels getting in the game?
Just quarterbacks, though. Like, if I got a reverse pass, I don't get to count that one?
Just quarterbacks.
Jalen Milroe, Jim, could you see Jalen Milroe come in and run a trick play they haven't run all year? I love how people say that like Alabama hasn't tried this all year long, and they're going to bring Milroe in the biggest game of the year and take a snap.
Again, taking the best player maybe in America.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I will say, LT, if Alabama wins, we'll see over 2.5. If it goes the way I think and Georgia wins, it'll only be 2. So I'm going to say 2.
So give me the third quarterback.
JT Daniels.
I mean, that's the only one, right? You couldn't see Milroe throw one. Paul Tyson. I mean, even on a fake field goal, I'm not even sure he's the holder anymore. Even if Alabama were to fake a field goal, I don't know that Paul Tyson. I think Burnett maybe the one throwing the ball.
Yep. All right. That's our Vulcan Tire and Auto 3 and Out right here as we broadcast live on a Friday night now. Bonus coverage from SEC Media Days thanks to Johnston RV Center and all of our other sponsors. It's the Johnston RV Center SEC Roadshow from Atlanta as Georgia, number 1 in the country, gets ready to battle number 3 Alabama.
JohnstonRVCenter.com is where you find all the info on them. Owners Rodney and Nick Johnston do an amazing job there at Johnston RV Center. Exit 304 off I-65 in Coleman. Exit 334 in Decatur. An exclusive lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on all their new models and used models under 2 years old. There's financing available. Cherokee, America's number 1 selling camper brand. It is Johnston RV Center, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
All right, Jim Dunaway along with Ryan Brown and Lance Taylor. Sean Henniger, Rockstar, John Lunsford, and, of course, Scott Forrest are all part of the next round family as TNR is on the road to the SEC Championship. Our first year of existence, but this thing's been going on for a very, very long time. There have been a lot of trophies won by Alabama in the SEC Championship, a few by Georgia along the way. This one means a lot for Georgia because they're trying to end a 41-year drought as the national champion, and they come in without a doubt the best team in the country, at least coming into the postseason here in this SEC Championship. And you have a Georgia team that's having a defensive season that is so iconic. They're starting to compare them, LT, to 1980 Nebraska teams or 1950 Tennessee teams. It's been that good of a defense in the era of offense.
Yeah, it really has. But again, we brought this point up, Dunaway. I just don't think they've seen a dynamic offense this year. You look at Georgia's schedule. We thought Clemson was going to be good. They have a very middle of the pack offense. The best offenses this team has seen is Arkansas and Tennessee, and those aren't good offenses. Tennessee's pretty good offense.
I'll say this: Arkansas was playing pretty well when they ran into that Georgia buzzsaw, and I don't know if you guys watched that game, but boy, it went bad for Arkansas right away.
Well, Arkansas was number 8 in the nation.
Yeah, they completely melted.
Yeah, they were 4-0 and number 8.
Yeah, Tennessee had probably as much success moving the football. It's the only 300-yard pass game Georgia has given up this year was to the Tennessee Volunteers.
That's the only one, Hendon Hooker.
That's it. It's the only team that's passed for 300 yards on it. In fact, Jim, I don't know that anybody else has, and I'm going to look at this, I don't know that anybody else has come particularly close. And I know that sounds crazy, But when you look at what Georgia has done on that pass defense, teams just have not thrown the football on them.
Hoover's George Pickens, part of throwing the football for the Georgia side. He did finally make it back in after recovering from an ACL against Georgia Tech, but he didn't do a lot. So the question will be, how much can Georgia get out of their receivers? You know, Bowers, is very, very dynamic out of the tight end position. But when you talk about Jermaine Burton, Ladd McConkey, and Adonai Mitchell, LT, what have you seen from the Georgia receivers? An impressive group or not for what they've given you this year?
Again, they haven't had to do much, Dunaway. I think they're good. They might be underrated according to some out there because there's not been a ton of balance with this offense. It's all about, getting that lead, running the football, playing dominant defense. I am really interested to see George Pickens because, again, I go back to 2019 when he was a freshman. The guy was really, really good, and then he had some problems, was off the field, and obviously got injured this year and in the offseason, and last week was his first reception. But if he's healthy enough to be dressed out, this is a guy that could be a factor.
I mean, he was healthy enough to at least get a play or two against Georgia Tech.
It's his only reception of the year.
It is, and that's unfortunate. I hate that for George Pickens that he's had to battle this, but
this is
I cannot see him being a factor in this game.
This is all the grind, all the work has been for these 3 games, right?
Yeah.
To be back and playing
No
the
doubt.
SEC championship, the semifinals, and the finals. Obviously, if he hasn't shaken the rust off and he's not completely healthy, he's got another month to get ready for the semifinals, so he won't risk it tomorrow. But, he got in the game against Georgia Tech, so we'll see if he's a factor tomorrow.
Okay.
I would agree with Brown. I think he's battled back so far. This team's going to be in the playoffs. He takes it easy tomorrow so that he can guarantee be there for the
another
semifinals.
month.
So with that
basically,
said, fifth down, Billingsley, more receptions, Billingsley or Pickens?
Billingsley. Yeah, Billingsley with more receptions.
So you're basically comparing Jaleel Billingsley's absence all year.
That's not going to happen.
This May, yeah. Brad Edwards, who has done a wonderful book recently, is the kind of guy that just loves to crunch numbers. He tweets this out earlier this week. Bama's SEC regular none in 20, and they've had 4 this year. Since 2015, before this year, they had 3. And that's with 3 straight years of zeros of 7 points or less in the regular season. This year, that's happened to them 4 times. That's why everybody just says this team is not as good as the others. They're weak.
I will say, and I don't know that it'll come down to this, but if Alabama ends up in a close game, they know how to win them. Right? I mean, they've been in this situation before. They've been in the close game this year. The only one they lost, obviously, is Texas A&M.
When do they vote for National Coach of the Year? Don't you vote for that, Dunaway?
I do. Already voted for it.
Okay. Because what I was going to say is, I always think this should be at the completion of the season. I mean, if Alabama won another national championship with this team, how do you not put Nick Saban in that mix?
It'd be hard.
I mean, Harbaugh's got to be in the mix, right? In Memphis, who would you vote for your SEC Coach of the Year? And I said you'd have to go Kirby.
Yeah. Actually, I did. It was it's one like the Heisman. It's a 1, 2, 3, and I went almost exactly like the rankings, except I skipped over Nick Saban. I went Kirby, I went Jim Harbaugh, and I went Luke Fickell.
Yeah, I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but I think Harbaugh's done a terrific job, and I think Michigan is good enough to win it. Michigan's good enough to win the national championship.
That would blow me away.
I know.
And the only reason I say that, Dunaway, is because you finally get over that hump of beating Ohio State. Now you've got to focus and beat a team that you're better than tomorrow to get into a college football playoff. And once you get there, then you still got to win 2 games.
Hey, don't forget part of our coverage here in Atlanta, presented by our friends with Crane Works and the Rental Works division of Crane Works, the source for all your equipment rental needs. Rental Works is everything from generators and lawn equipment to excavators and skid steers. Check it out at craneworks.com. Rental Works is proud to announce their new division, Waste Works, offering residential and commercial dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area. You can see everything at craneworks.com. It's craneworks.com. It's amazing to me, by the way, how many Alabama fans I've talked to, because I was just thinking, if this game comes down to a game-winning field goal, which we talked about it earlier this week, if you're a Bama fan and I told you that right now, you'd take it, right?
Right.
Knowing that it came down to a game-winning field goal. I'm amazed how many Alabama fans thought, and I heard Aaron Suttles say this on Bama and Bourbon, that Reichard was going to miss that kick in overtime against Auburn.
I didn't think that.
Yeah, I didn't either. That kid's pretty dependable. I mean, it's by far and away the most dependable kicking situation Nick Saban has had. And that's normally one of these things, because we talked about it earlier on the next round that they've done away when Alabama was playing the national championship game against Georgia and missed the kick to win the game. I mean, this is by far and away the most stable the kicking situation has been for Alabama coming into a massive game like this.
Yeah, obviously, I'm usually more surprised now when they miss it. When they
I
don't
kind of
make
am
it.
too.
So,
yeah.
I was more surprised. About 25, 30, 31 guys you would see drafted off of these teams that are out there playing this weekend. I mean, it's those iconic SEC rosters we've become used to. But back in all, Georgia had a better roster than Alabama, more 5 stars, and definitely a lot more experience. This roster flipped over for Alabama from last year to this year. They got very inexperienced.
Well, it's crazy when you just pump a bunch of guys in the NFL, how that changes things, right?
First round, 10, 11, 12 guys go in the draft, and they restock. And it's never a problem. But I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think 2020 was Nick Saban's best team ever, or at least that offense was so good. And it was just hard to replicate that. And I think finally it's just maybe they've missed a little bit. I don't want to say they've missed on 5-star talent than the number 3 team in the nation. It just doesn't seem like this team is as good as it's not. It just hasn't been as good as the last few years.
No, it's not. But, I mean, everybody talks about, this is not as good a team. I mean,
what would last year, 2020
what?
Bama against 2021 Bama? What's the
they
score?
would whip them. They would. They would
by
whip
21
them.
points.
Yeah, I mean, that team would whip Alabama.
50-17.
Yeah.
50-17.
Jim, now that might be a bit of an overstatement.
Okay, 55-45.
Hey, don't forget, part of our coverage here presented by Wayne's Pest Control, serving more than 100,000 customers across Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, that entire SEC footprint. Since 1973, let the good folks at Wayne's take care of all your pest control needs. And while they may not be able to do anything about old cousin Eddie in the RV, they can protect your home from all the other pests you don't want in the holiday season. Take great care of us there at Wayne's. They do, man. They're fantastic. Call 866-WAYNES-1 or Waynes.com. Call Waynes.com, 866-WAYNES-1 or call Waynes.com for our friends at Wayne's.
So this SEC championship trophy, have y'all ever liked that?
I like that trophy. Yeah, I do. Why, you don't?
No, I do. I did not like that trophy when they first unveiled it. I wanted it to be, I don't know, Lombardi-esque,
right?
One cylinder-like trophy.
It's a big trophy.
It is a big trophy, and it's a lot of wood. And maybe that's what I didn't like about it.
It's like mahogany.
But as it's gotten, more seasoned, that SEC championship trophy with a man's not limping, but leaping over 2 guys, a blocker and a defender for the goal line, I assume, with all the teams' names on there. I mean, eventually those walls with the teams' names on the SEC championship trophy, they're going to be like great walls eventually. We're going to keep adding names there. They're going to have to get bigger. The trophy's got to change.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. They got to add Texas and Oklahoma right there, right?
Cubs been able to do it, right?
That's a good point.
Yep.
So that trophy's about to get even bigger.
Yeah, you remember you can go back and look at the original SEC championship trophies. Didn't have Texas A&M and Missouri.
That's right. They've had to add over the years.
Yep.
I mean, they'll figure out a way to do it. All right, let's talk more about Georgia. Mike Griffith joins us from downtown Atlanta. We're up in Buckhead at Twin Peaks. Welcome in, Mike. Hope you're doing well tonight.
Doing great, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on with us. Of course, Mike has watched a ton of Georgia football. Dunaway and I are sitting next to him in the press box as he's covering the Iron Bowl for Dog Nation in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That thinks this game's going to be a lot closer than everybody thinks. Why were you telling us that, Mike, as we were leaving the Iron Bowl?
Well, I just think Nick Saban's done an incredible job maximizing the talent. I mean, and look, this is not last year's. I'm not telling Alabama fans anything they don't already know, but that wasn't a game that Alabama should have won. That was an Auburn win. That game should have been over with. But Bryce Young, 12 plays, 97 yards. That was a legendary moment. And I know that this isn't a perfect season, and I know that Mac Jones isn't out there, Najee Harris or Devontae Smith, but for a young guy like that to have that moment in that sort of game, in that environment, without his best receiver out there on a night where he got sacked 7 times, I'll be honest, guys, I covered Alabama in the 90s, and I've followed Alabama football all my life. That's about as poised of a drive as I've seen from any Alabama quarterback ever under difficult circumstance. So the Bryce Young factor holds out some hope. Certainly the Nick Saban factor. The fact that Nick has been able to change how he's managed the team this year. And I didn't get it last week. I was critical when he was mad at the fans because I think Alabama fans are about as loyal as they come. This has been a decades-long tradition of winning football, and if they're a little upset, Nick gets paid $10 million a year to put up with that. But now I understand the method to the madness. He recognizes that this team is somewhat fragile. And when he told us his halftime message, just go out there and do your best and not worry about the result, I said, wow, this is a different Nick Saban, but you know what? It's working. He knows how to motivate Generation Z.
Now, Georgia has the luxury of losing this game, and they're still going to be in the college football playoff. But how important is it for Kirby to get that first win over Nick Saban and get Alabama out of the playoff picture?
It's really more about Georgia needing to take care of business against Alabama. They've had Bama beat twice, 2017 national championship game, the second in 26 to a moment. Had them beat in 2018. You know, the MVP of the game would be MVP. DeAndre Walker goes out. He'd been in the backfield the whole game. He goes out. Brenton Cox, young freshman, comes in. Hurts breaks contain. That was a game Georgia should have won as well. Last year, listen, they weren't beating Alabama. I know the halftime score said 24-20, but they were not going to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It wasn't going to happen. But this year, they've got the better team. They've got the seniors. They've got the seasoned players. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing Alabama down to one running back. You know, Georgia's got 4 or 5 guys. I mean, they've got an embarrassment of riches, depth. They've got one deficiency, guys, and that's in the secondary. And if that offensive line, that baby Bama offensive line, if those guys can go from, crawling to walking to pass blocking and give Bryce a little bit of time, that will give them a chance. Tennessee got inside of the Georgia 30-yard line 6 times. Hendon Hooker could have easily thrown for 400 yards. He missed on a couple throws. So it's there for the taking if that Bama line can give Bryce some time to throw.
But Mike, you've seen 1,000 bazillion SEC football games. Can you remember an Alabama offensive line ever looking like it looked last week in front of you at Auburn?
Yeah, probably the 1997 team that got Bruce Arians fired after 1 year. When I realized what a great running back Sean Alexander was, I still think the best Alabama running back of all time. If you would put him behind some of these lines that Ingram and Henry had, Sean would have gone 2,400 yards, but because he was dodging 3 guys in the backfield back in those days. But honestly, no, not of the Saban era, guys. I mean, listen, Nick Saban has done such incredible work in Tuscaloosa. I just can't say enough for the way he's managed these teams, and that's why even though I think Georgia really, if you took the names off the jerseys and just just told me that both coaches were equals, I'd tell you that Georgia was 3 or 4 touchdowns better than Alabama on talent and experience alone. But you've got Nick Saban, and that just means everything. He creates, it doesn't matter. The nameplates change on the coaches' offices, the numbers change, the faces, the players, but Nick Saban finds a way for Alabama football to be relevant every single year. And I just can't count him out, even though really Georgia really should win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
And I think they do win it as well. So if they win the game, Mike, does Georgia feel like they're the national champs, or do you think there's a team out there that can challenge Georgia before it's all said and done? Because I'd start to like this Michigan team a lot these days.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. There is a danger to that. There is a danger to, you beat Alabama and everybody exhales, and there are other teams. And, I think the SEC is the best league year in and year out. The numbers of players drafted bear that out. The number of SEC teams, 16 have been in the national title game in the last 16. The numbers bear it out. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But this year is a bit of an outlier. You take a look at the quarterback. There's not a lot of great experienced quarterback play out there. And, you think about that Auburn-Penn State game. We don't really have much to go on as far as transitive properties. I do know this. If a team can slow down the Georgia run game, and we haven't seen many do it. Clemson did it. I think Florida did it to some extent. But if you can slow down that run game and force Georgia out of their comfort zone, you give yourself a chance. Now, I think Georgia's even better with JT Daniels, but Kirby loves to ground and pound. He likes 2011, 2009 Bama football. But if you've got – and I think Michigan can play good defense, to your point. Oklahoma State and Baylor, believe it or not, are 1 and 2 in the Big 12 in defense and number of rushing attempts. And I was there last year for the Peach Bowl, and I watched Cincinnati fight Georgia tooth and nail. Let me tell you, that wasn't a fluke. Cincinnati is a tough group of kids, and Luke Fickell is a good football coach. So to your point, beating Alabama, all we got to do is Jimbo Fisher on line 1. Speaking of, you got to do more than just beat Bama. You got to keep going.
All right, he is Mike Griffith. Here's what you do. You go follow him on Twitter at Mike Griffith32. Read him at dongnation.com. See him on the SEC Network, Mike Griffith32 on Twitter. Mike, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks for jumping on with us, talk a little bit about this game.
And thanks for your help in the press box. You guys were a wealth of information at the Iron Bowl.
Most of it was made up. So
And part of our show tonight being brought to you by our friends at Champy's World Famous Chicken. Let's start with just great customer service. Sterling and his team make sure that when you come to Champy's World Famous Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster, you're taken care of like you're going to see family on a holiday. Perfect for tailgates, office meetings, for lunch, or to take home for dinner. They got an easy call-ahead takeout line and drive-through over there. They've got a easy to order online at champyschicken.com. So it's perfect on the way home. But if you're ever in the Alabaster area and you're new and you've never been by, go by there and give it a try. And if you love tamales, do the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. They are fantastic. Champy's World Famous Chicken. Ain't nothing like it nowhere. champyschicken.com right there. And this is the Johnston RV SEC championship game preview. We're here at Buckhead live on a Friday night. LT, Dunaway, and Brown with you, and the great folks at the Johnston RV Center helping us roll commercial-free tonight.
They are JohnstonRVCenter.com. Rodney and Nick Johnston are the owners there at Johnston RV Center. Good dudes, man. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, and exit 334 in Decatur. An exclusive lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on all their new models and models under 2 years old. Financing available as well. Home to Cherokee, America's #1 selling camper brand, JohnstonRVCenter.com. That is JohnstonRVCenter.com.
All right, so I'll jump into the chat room here, and you guys answer the questions. Chad, would you guys say the first team to 30 wins?
I think if a team gets 30, they probably win the game.
I think 30 wins this game.
Okay, first team to 30 wins. Okay, lower that number until you're not comfortable saying that. First team to 29 wins. First team to 28 wins. What's the lowest number?
21.
First team to 21? Yeah, I was going to say 24.
24.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be right around the total. So I think this is a, 28-24, 24-21 type game.
Yeah, 24 I think was going to be my number there, Dunaway. I'm willing to go that low. I'm willing to say first team to 24 wins this game.
Paul writes in and says, lack of confidence for the weekend. We gave up touchdown to Zach freaking Calzada.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. This team's changed since then. They've gotten better since then. I think this defense has, don't you guys? Since the A&M game? It's a better defense now.
Bubba Head writes in. Haven't ran a single screenplay all season, talking about Alabama. Haven't ran a screenplay all season.
That has been puzzling to me too, man. That has really, really been puzzling. Because it seems like, when you struggle with your offensive line, doesn't it seem like that is one way you've always helped your offensive line is by running screens and things like that? And they've struggled with this offensive line all year and struggled with protecting Bryce Young all year, and that's a way to slow down that pass rush. That is puzzling that they haven't run one all year.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
Yep. The questions keep rolling in. Do you guys give Bill O'Brien a D or an F this year?
I think that's a little harsh. I know people aren't thrilled with him.
That from Spandy.
Yeah, do people still realize that it's a top 5 scoring offense right now? I'll give you the exact.
I think people are ignoring that part of it.
It was number 2 for a while. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, it was number 2, but they scored 10 points last week, so it's going to fall.
But if you are one of the top scoring offenses with Nick Saban's defense, you should be in the situation you're in right now. Again, I think people get conditioned to how good that team was last year. So Alabama at 42.3 points per game. Pittsburgh's slightly better. Western Kentucky, Ohio State, that's it. They're 4th. 5th behind Wake Forest.
It was 2nd until they put up a 10th spot in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, but they're 5th right now, averaging 42.3 points per game, almost 500 yards of offense per game. That's going to win you a lot of football games. It just hasn't aesthetically been as fun to watch for whatever reason.
It hasn't. No, I agree completely.
It's been a lot like watching an NFL game.
A little bit.
At times.
Yeah, the Steve Sarkisian offense just had rhythm and flow. And the Bill O'Brien offense has never felt like it had a lot of rhythm and flow to it. How many drives did you watch Sarkisian and think that just had zero rhythm to it? It wasn't many. And this offense, you watch it all the time, and you're like, yeah, you know what? They flipped the field in field position, or they got a field goal out of it, or they even scored a touchdown, but it felt choppy.
Is that partly because the quarterback's having to do so much scrambling, they can't protect him? He's having to make do. There hasn't been a play that oftentimes looks exactly the way it's drawn up on the board.
I think that's part of it, yeah.
Jeremy from earlier in the chat, from back in the regular show, he says, you guys discussed actors who always play the same character movie after movie. He says Liam Neeson should have been number 1 on your list.
He's always the guy that
every time now.
Always the guy that loses his daughter?
No, he's the tough guy, the older tough guy that basically can kill anybody he wants to, right?
Yeah. That's him. That's kind of what he plays.
Yep.
I think that's a good call.
Appreciate all you guys jumping into the chat room. You can keep those rolling if you're watching us on YouTube, but if you're also watching us on Twitter, there's a place for you to comment there as well. Keep those coming in tonight. That gets you into our Farmfolio chat room. We appreciate everyone being with us here on the road in Atlanta as we get ready for an SEC championship tomorrow. Most of the media that wasn't here made their way in earlier today. Reese Davis, who was on the show earlier this week, pointing out that game day, if you're walking around the stadium, where's game day? Where's game day? Not outside. If you're over early for Mercedes-Benz Stadium and College game day tomorrow, they'll be actually in the Fan Fest down in the World Congress Center. So an indoor college game day this year down inside Fan Fest.
Well, the weather's perfect too.
Yeah,
I understand why they want to be indoors because the weather can be tricky here sometimes, but it's perfect for them to be outside.
Yeah, they probably planned that out. You guys know how this is, right? They probably planned that out thinking it would be 40 degrees and maybe rainy. Let's go ahead and secure an inside spot.
Have you guys ever been to an outdoor event here at Mercedes?
With the roof open?
Yeah, with the roof open.
No,
I haven't.
I've been to one. I went to a Rams game in 2019.
Yeah.
I like the roof open.
I've been to a Dolphins game and an SEC championship, and as Dunaway said, the SEC has said from day one, it can be 95 and sunny and in the middle of a drought with no chance of rain. We're playing with the roof closed.
Okay.
They do not care.
Charles Barkley joining us in just a second. Our friends at Vulcan Tire bringing you this show as well. And when LT's done telling us about Vulcan Tire, I'm going to ask you this question, Brown. I'll give you a head start because LT can't read and think at the same time, but you can, so you can go
Okay.
first. Bryce Young won, and then start ranking the SEC quarterbacks for me and tell me when we get to Stetson Bennett, the guy who's quarterbacking the number one team. But
All right.
Vulcan Tire first, LT.
Yeah, 4 great locations. Anything you need bumper to bumper for you and your entire family, these guys can handle. Again, Brown just got the new tires this week. Tires, wheel alignment, brakes, and more. Go to Vulcan Tire and Automotive, 4 locations. For more information, vulcantireandauto.com.
Bryce Young, Matt Corral, 1 and 2.
Okay.
And I think most people would have them in that order. It gets really, really tricky after that.
I think Hendon Hooker's your third best. And
Really?
then I would go Will Rogers.
Wow. So
Okay.
you're down to 4, waiting for you to put
I
the
think
number
that's
one.
probably where I get to Stetson Bennett.
Yep, Stetson Bennett. KJ Jefferson has got more upside to me, but he's not as consistent. So I would go Stetson Bennett 5.
I think at some point you're in the Bo Nix territory now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt Henton of Saturday Down South, Bryce and Matt. It was number 3 where he got the Stetson Bennett to 4th. You guys say way too early on that.
I feel like that is a bit early for Stetson Bennett. He's just a guy he doesn't blow you away in anything he does, and he gets disrespected. And I think people give him the game manager, and they don't think he's as mobile as he is. But, you look at what he does. The guy does nothing but make big plays and win. Speaking of that, our buddy Charles Barkley is with us now as we continue at Twin Peaks and Buckhead. Charles is not in Atlanta. He bailed out for the game.
Oh, man, I don't like coming here when he's not here.
Yeah, we want to go to Cuckoo tonight.
Well, hey, listen, I didn't want to see that beat down, so I decided to come home and play some golf. But I don't want to see that beat down.
Yeah. It's coming, isn't it, Charles? It's going to happen, isn't it?
34-17 Bulldogs.
Oh, Chuck.
Charles.
Chuck, I think I've got a little credit with you. I'm willing to play
here we
Alabama
go
plus 6.5.
Here we go again.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
hey, easy. Yes, sir. You can have Bama in 6.5.
I'll take it for 1,000. We good?
Yeah. You think I'm gonna get nervous over $1,000?
Oh, I got something to pull for tomorrow.
I think that means Chuck won on the golf course earlier today already or something.
Hey, listen, Georgia's been the best team in the country by far all year. Not just now, by far. What they've done this year is incredible. And I think they're gonna finish off the journey tomorrow.
Go back to the Iron Bowl last week, man. The Auburn Tigers, nobody was expecting them to play a close game either, and they poured their hearts out. They probably let a victory get away from them in that game, Charles. What did you think of your team?
Yeah, I thought we gagged it away. I was proud of the kids for giving everything they had, but we're not into sentimental victories. They gave me everything they had, but it wasn't good enough. They deserve to win that game. But let's be realistic. You're not going to win. You shouldn't win a game where you only scored 10 points. The defense played – I can't even remember when I've ever seen the Auburn defense play that well. I mean, that was beautiful. I mean, that was one of the best performances I've ever seen by an Auburn defense. But hey, listen, give the Tide credit. They kept banging. But listen, I try not to ever compare pro kids when I'm doing March Madness to the NBA. But let's get one thing straight. That was a gag job last week by my Tigers. Plain and simple, we choked that away.
Charles Barkley is with us as we continue from Twin Peaks and Buckhead. Don't forget, part of our coverage presented by Craneworks' newest partnership, WasteWorks. WasteWorks offers residential and commercial dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area. Get that cleanup done right with WasteWorks, wasteworksusa.com. That's wasteworksusa.com for more information. As a competitor, though, Charles, and a guy that has been in the arena such as yourself, watching Bryce Young do that with the odds completely stacked against him in that hostile environment had to bring out the competitor in you and say, man, I got to tip my hat to that guy.
No question. You got to give Alabama credit for winning the game. But listen, sometimes you have to say that was just a gag job. I mean, listen, you give him credit. You give him credit because they won the game. But there's not any way, shape, or form they should have won that game. Auburn just I love my Tigers. I'm gonna support them no matter what. But they clearly choked that game away. I mean, give Bryce Young credit, but come on, man. We have to be realistic also. That was just ridiculous the way Auburn played offensively in that game.
Chuck, for about 10 years, you were always in Atlanta for the SEC championship. You're out west right now, and I know that's the
Hello? What did you guys do?
All right, Charles, we're back. Sorry about that. That was on me.
Hey, listen. I saw the logo for fried chicken pop up. I got excited for a second.
That's our friends at Champy's Chicken down there in Alabaster, man.
Yeah. So, Lance, do that one again. That one's completely on me.
which one?
The setup. The
question.
The question you just did for Charles.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Chuck. So typically for like 10 years, you were in Atlanta for the SEC championship. You're out west right now, and this is the compound that you love to watch college football and the NFL with all your guys. You bring them over. You guys drink. You guys gamble. You have a great time. What will the setup be for the Saturday championship games tomorrow at your house?
Well, the big game is obviously Georgia against Alabama. But I'm looking forward to the Baylor-Oklahoma State game also. And let me tell you something. It's going to be some tight sphincters down in Cincinnati, boy.
Yep.
I mean, I think Houston's won 11 games in a row, haven't they?
Yeah.
So all the pressure is on Cincinnati because they got to win to get in, obviously. But that's a lot of pressure. And if Houston can get off to a good start and make that pressure grow, that could be a very interesting game. But listen, I really think Georgia's going to beat down Alabama, personally. Like I say, I don't ever root against anybody, but I just think Georgia is the best team by 4 in the country.
Hey, right here in Atlanta tomorrow, Sunday, Tom Brady plays the Falcons. I know you've spent time with Tom on the golf course. How much fun is he having in Tampa now? And how long is that extending his career? Could he walk away this year? You think he's going to keep playing? You've been close to this guy. What do you think of Brady?
Well, I think he's the nicest celebrity super GOAT I've ever met in my life. I've been around Tom a few times, and I've never seen, I tell people, him and Wayne Gretzky are the two GOATs of their sports who are the nicest people you're ever going to meet. I actually thought he was going to walk away after last year. I mean, if you accomplish what he accomplished, that would have been the greatest mic drop ever. I told somebody, you think about this here. He goes to New Orleans and beat Drew Brees, one of the greatest ever. He goes to Lambeau Field and beats Aaron Rodgers. And then he beats the guy everybody who was saying going to be the next best player ever at his position. I thought that would have been the perfect mic drop.
Yes.
But you know what? Ain't nothing like playing, Jim. Like, I've been around. Ain't nothing like playing. You play until you can't play anymore. And he's got a great setup in Tampa. They got two great running backs. They got about 3 or 4 really good receivers and another dumb one with the vaccine. But Tom said it. It's so easy for these guys to play today. You can't hit anybody. He thinks he can keep playing.
Hey, Chuck, the quarterback that won this SEC championship game last year, Mac Jones, is now got it rolling in New England. Will Mac Jones be the first ever rookie quarterback to get to a Super Bowl?
Hey, did we have a little argument on the air like 3 months ago, me and you?
About Mac Jones?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think we had an argument between Mac Jones and Tua.
Uh-oh.
No, that might have been Brown. Brown's a big Tua guy.
I'm a Dolphins fan, but listen, Mac Jones has outplayed Tua right now. Now,
Oh,
Tua.
not even
Well,
close.
that was my
Okay.
and listen, nothing against Tua. I says, man, I like Mac Jones, and he's going to the right situation. He's got the greatest coach ever. He's got arguably the greatest offensive caller in the history of sports, and Josh Daniels. I knew he was going to be successful, so it's amazing to watch. And hey, listen, I'm pulling for Tua. They've won 3 in a row, I think, and he's been finally healthy and getting a chance to get it done. I've had the Dolphins the last 2 weeks. I think I'm going to go with them again this week. I loved them last week against the Panthers. Loved them.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I would not touch that damn Buffalo New England game with a 10-foot pole.
You got to play on that one?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hey,
Charles
I
says
actually
not a
think the
10-foot
Falcons-
pole.
Hey, I actually think the Falcons going to cover against Tampa Bay, though, too.
Uh-oh. Falcons going to cover against Tampa Bay, Dunaway.
No.
You need to go home.
I'm
Dunaway's thinking about staying.
I'm going to that game, Chuck. Oh, I hope not. I got money on the Bucks, and I'm spending money to watch.
Hey,
it.
when
It'll be a bad day.
When are we going to see you again, Chuck? We hadn't seen you in forever.
One of the reasons I couldn't be there this weekend, I'm on my way to Florida to play in Ernie Els' golf tournament for autism. So that's the reason I'm really not there. Ernie Els had, he built a hospital down in Florida because he has an autistic kid. So I'm heading down there to play in his golf tournament the next couple days. It's a really, I can't wait to do that. But I'm going to try to get to Birmingham and hang out with you brothers. Hey, listen, if y'all had told me about Twin Peaks before I got on that jet, I might have made a stop by there.
Well, hey, can we show Chuck the scene right now? Can he
All
see
right,
it?
there you go. There you go.
Here's what's going on.
Of course, it's Frodo. There we go. We got some dancing going on, Chuck.
Well, I'm not mad at that. First of all, I can't wait to get to this chicken joint in you say Alabaster?
Yeah, Champy's Chicken down there in Alabaster. You can't beat it, man.
It's got to be new, correct?
It is. It's new, and Champy's. They got these Mississippi Delta recipe tamales that are
Phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Hey, listen, you don't have to. Yeah, don't take much to impress a fat guy. I want chicken and tamales. I'm in.
All right, here's what we're going to do. When you're back in Birmingham, you come see our new studio. You still haven't been up to the new studio. We'll make sure Champy's caters that day, and you can try it. How about that?
Well, what are we going to have for alcohol? We need some Red Mont and some.
I got a ton of Red Mont vodka there.
Yeah.
There's Red Mont vodka and almost anything else you can imagine. I can promise you this guy over here, that was one of the first things he did was stock the bar.
Charles, we've got Bud Light's our title sponsor. We've got a kegerator in studio with 2 taps, 2 different kegs.
I'm not mad at that, but if you're gonna be, if you're gonna be big time, you got to get them to give you one for the house.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, he'll work that. Trust me.
Yes.
I know this guy. He'll have that happening.
Oh, so he's the white Kenny Smith, huh?
That's exactly what we call him.
Hey, Donaway, Kenny Smith thinks we should get. He says that anything that sponsors the show, we officially sponsored it, and we should get a cut of it. And I said,
Wow.
Kenny, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. They're paying us, and they're using the sponsors to pay us. The sponsors does not have to give us free product. But Kenny is a typical New Yorker, guys. He wants everything free. Everything free.
Yeah, but I mean, how much Bud Light does Bud Light make? Surely they can throw a couple extra kegs for you, right? And all the other sponsors too, man. I'm with Kenny on that one, and I'm from Alabaster.
Hey, listen, I tell you what, I'll give y'all some Red Mont and some Bucking, but hey, I'll drink plenty of Bud Light and I'll eat plenty of fried chicken.
Okay.
All right.
It's a date. We're gonna set the date when you're back in town. We look forward.
So be honest with me, guys. Don't give me no fake BS on the show. What's the score of the game?
I think it's Georgia 20-17. Georgia wins 20-17.
I think it's Georgia 28-13.
Buckle up.
24-23 Alabama.
Wow. Hey, you know what? Donaway,
Yes.
I think you're gonna be right. I think Georgia's gonna win by at least 2 touchdowns, probably 17 points. And this is their time right now.
It is 41 years, Charles. I mean, if you and I could go back to 19.
Man, I'm gonna kill you guys, man. Are you back?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
We can go back to when?
To 1980, because that's the last time Georgia had won a national championship in 41 years. If you and I could go back to 1980, would you do it? Because you've had so many great things happen.
Hey, I don't ever want to go back and be poor again. Hell no. I don't wanna go back to 1980. No. Hey, by the way, 85 to now, we're good. I don't want to go back to being poor.
All right. You take 85. Oh, my gosh. You take 85.
I would take 85, and you think I'm good friends with you now. If I'd have known in 85, if I'd have known you, I'd have been on you like a leech, man. I'd been like Charles Barkley's driver my whole life.
Hey, I'll tell you what, guys. I want to say something about Auburn while we're on. We didn't have a great year. I'm a Brian Harsin fan. I think we have to be realistic. We only had one bad game this year, and that was the Georgia game. So I think I want to tell all my Auburn people, listen, to be patient. Give Brian a chance. But if you sit back and look at our season, with the exception of the Georgia game, we were in every game in the fourth quarter. And to me, that's progress. In my opinion, but I want people to be patient down there and think about it from a realistic standpoint. With the exception of Georgia, we had a chance to win every single game this year. Even though, and listen, 6-6 is not good enough. But we got a new coach. We have already made some changes on the coaching staff, but let's try to be a little patient.
That's well said. Charles, thank you, buddy. It's always fun talking with you. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I wish I could be there in person with you guys. And but War Damn Eagle.
Thanks. See you, Charles. Take care.
See you, Charles.
Talk about Champy's Chicken there a couple of times. Champy's world famous fried chicken, champy'schicken.com. Highway 119 in Alabaster. Chuck will be eating that. He told you how good it was. If it's good enough for Charles Barkley, it's good enough for all of us, right?
No doubt.
Champy's world famous chicken. What's your update?
You brought up something on the show earlier today on the next round between 9 and 1 Central Time, a first date. You want to reset the story?
Okay. Earlier in the show, we told a story. We ran into a girl last night who was on a dating app. I believe it was
full disclosure.
Dating app Hinge.
So a good friend of ours that lives in Atlanta, she lives across the hall from him.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and so she was at a local establishment with friends, and so he was there, and that's where the discussion began.
So she has been talking to a guy on Hinge, the dating app, and he is an Alabama guy. She is a Georgia grad, and they're going on their first date at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. She lives in Atlanta. He lives in Tuscaloosa. They're making the trip over here to go on a first Hinge date to the SEC championship game.
So I said it was an idiotic move by this dude, because if you're going on a first date, you got to be able to pay attention, get a little conversation going. You fill the person out, and it's kind of almost character development between the two. And if you're truly an Alabama or a Georgia fan, you don't want to be in that situation. You want to be able to watch the game and concentrate. So I thought it was a dumb move on his part. I don't know if he was listening or not, but my buddy who knows her has sent me a text from her what this guy has responded. You ready? And I'm going to read it verbatim. Hell, we don't know him.
Yep.
Hey, this is very difficult to send. A very difficult text to send. I'm sorry I've been kind of silent today. I want to be honest with you. My ex-fiance called me and we talked yesterday. We are not back together, and I don't know if we even want to get back together, if I even want to get back together with her, but it really confused me. I feel really bad, but I think it would be best for me to just go to the game tomorrow with a buddy. I've battled back and forth with this all day, but I don't think it's fair to you. I've enjoyed talking to you and still want to take you out soon. I just need a few days to think. I really hope you can respect that and don't hate me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's a great play. She's off the hook. I'd be excited if I was her.
Yeah, I think she dodged a bullet.
Yeah, she dodged a big bullet.
And I think for him, I think it's good he got out of it too.
Yeah, that way he can go to the game and enjoy it with a buddy.
But kind of a dick move to do it the night before, though.
Very big one, but I think she's out. I would say I would appreciate him being a little more honest. I don't think that's a true story.
No, I don't either. And if she goes back on a date with him, she's insane.
I would agree.
Do you think he had a girlfriend already, or do you think it was the buddy has been pestering him all week? Dude, what are you doing?
I think
we were.
I think he's got a fiance.
You don't think it's an ex-fiance?
It was an ex-fiance when they were talking. The fiance didn't know that.
It's an ex-fiance if she finds out he's on this date in the game.
Right.
You know what ran through his head? CBS Skycam.
Yep.
CBS Skycam comes by, and there we are, arm in arm.
Yep. Doing this. Talking to each other.
Yeah.
These two were not even paying attention to the game.
I think it's best I just go with a buddy.
Yeah, dodged a bullet. Well, it also could mean that he sold his tickets to a Georgia fan and made a lot of money off of it. That was his way of getting out of it and still trying to stay in the game. All right, more questions coming up. Brandon, let's hop into the Wayne's chat room right now and chat it up a little bit with AB from Huntsville and some other folks here.
You got it, Jimmy D. Wayne's Pest Control, serving more than 100,000 customers across Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi since 1973. Let our good friends at Wayne's take care of all your pest control needs. While they may not be able to do anything about Cousin Eddie this Christmas, they can protect your home from all the other pests you don't want showing up around the holiday table. They take great care of us. They'll take great care of you. Call 866-WAYNES-1 or visit callwaynes.com. That's 866-WAYNES-1 or callwaynes.com.
Lance, this is from AB in Huntsville. Lance, what is a prop bet for the game that is the most intriguing in your opinion? Have you seen a prop bet, anything weird for the
props and alternate lines? I won't have them until the morning. I'm sure there's people out there that probably have this, but I think the interesting prop bet for me would be Jamison Williams total yards, receiving yards, because I think it'll get back down a little bit because he got ejected last week. So I think it'll be a little skewed. I think you'll get a lot of value with Jamison Williams going against this defense.
Do you think
play that over?
Do you think Jamison's on the punt team this week? Or do you see it's too valuable to take? You got to take him off at this point.
No. I mean, I think if you're Nick Saban, his reaction to this stuff is normally, this is a lesson to do it the right way.
Right.
I'm not taking you off. I've got you on there because you're valuable. You're one of the best 11 guys at doing this, but I need you to do it within the rules like I've taught you to do it. I think that's the way Saban approaches those things.
Jeff asked this question. I believe it makes a statement. I believe our defense has to come up big for us to win this game. You think about what difference.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree with you. Field position is going to be massive. I don't think there's any doubt. I hear something about field position though, and I know this is not what you asked, Dunaway, but since you brought up field position, one thing that killed Alabama in the Iron Bowl, I thought, was poor punting. Burnham did not have a good game. Now, he ended up being the holder. Lance probably saved, Alabama at some point. But he did not have a good game punting. And you know who did? Auburn's punter.
Oh, yeah. Oscar Chapman.
Chapman was phenomenal. And Burnham didn't have a good game. And that kills you in field position, man. I mean, I think he's averaging, I don't have it in front of me, he doesn't punt a ton, but I think he's only averaging like 38 yards a kick.
Bubba head back to a discussion from our early show that you guys are still talking about, actors that played the same character over and over. Bubblehead says Michael Caine never did not play Michael Caine. He's Michael Caine in every movie.
My favorite Michael Caine line of all time. Somebody asked Michael Caine how he picks the scripts he says yes to. And he says, very simple. I look at the first page and I look at the last page. And if my character has lines on both pages, I say yes.
Yeah, because he said yes to Jaws of Revenge.
That's a great line, though. You got to give him credit for that line, don't you?
No, he's a good actor.
Great on the Bama defense.
I would say those safeties. I think Helms and Battle have got to be fantastic.
Well, yeah, and the Helms, there's a possibility that he's matched up sometimes with Brock Bowers.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Absolutely. You guys reacting to the great Charles Barkley being with us here on the show. We appreciate that. It's the Johnston RV SEC Roadshow. We're at Buckhead over at Twin Peaks in Atlanta, Georgia, where the scenery is hot and the beer is cold, and we're getting ready for the SEC Championship. How important is it for Bryce Young to be able to run the ball for positive yards at the moments where he's hesitated throughout the year? So he's asking Brown and LT, there have been times where it looks like Bryce has been reluctant to run. Does he have to run and risk it all?
Well, let me ask you this. I was going to ask this question earlier, and this is kind of a hard thing to quantify, but let's talk about it this way. If you netted out, all right, if you backed out the sack yards lost, what do you think his rush yards need to be in this game? So in other words, let's pretend it's the NFL where sack yards go against the passing number.
60.
You think he needs 60 rush yards?
Yeah, I think 50 plus. I think Dunaway's kind of onto this because I think he's going to be under duress, and I think there's going to be opportunities for him to get outside of the pocket and to create and really extend some drives with his legs.
Yeah. I think he has to be Alabama's leading rusher.
Who?
I mean, he might be, though.
He might be.
I mean, if he had...
I mean, I say that, and it's just amazing to say because I don't think he's even been close this year.
I don't know how many sacks he could have and be Alabama's leading rusher.
Well, I mean, take off the sacks if we're doing it like the NFL, where that goes against your passing yards.
Oh, no, if he did that, he would be Alabama's leading rusher.
He needs to be Alabama's leading rusher.
Yeah.
He needs to be Alabama's leading rusher in this game.
Buckhead said Michael Caine was once asked if he ever saw Jaws 3. He said, no, but I've seen the house it bought me. It's like, I love his honesty. Yes. I see the house it bought me.
Never watched it.
Riley writes in and says, Lance, you made another $1,000 bet with Charles, or you're already 2,000 up with him.
Where are we on this?
Yeah. We're in the black right now.
You're
plus two on him. I'm going to be plus 3 after tomorrow.
You think Alabama wins this game?
I really do. I think Alabama. I mean, the offensive line scares me to death.
Oh, it should. They're bad. All right, so we're back live 10 to 2 Central, or 10 to 12 Central tomorrow. 10 to 12 Central tomorrow. Am I right about that, by the way? 10 to 12 Central?
I'm going to do my best to be here.
10 to 12 Central.
10 to 12 Central. Will he still be on Alabama tomorrow, 10 to 12 Central?
Yes. He has planted his flag on that all week long. Doesn't mean he thinks they win the game. He thinks it's within 6.5.
I think they win the game.
Yeah.
It would scare him if he wakes up and the money goes to Georgia 7, Georgia 7.5.
Even if it does, I think this is a really unique position for Alabama with Nick Saban. And look, maybe Alabama's just not good this year. But I think Nick Saban's going to be able to sell these guys. Nobody believes you can win this game. And it's still Georgia, man. We've been watching Georgia for a long time. They find ways to lose games.
I feel like you're factoring the what I'll call the Kirby Smart factor into this.
No, look, I think Kirby's a really good coach.
I know you do.
I'm doing the Georgia. It's either going to be Georgia is going to win by 17 and Kirby smiling pretty much the entire fourth quarter, or Alabama will win this game. One of those two is happening.
So blowout or Alabama win is what you're saying.
Because either Alabama really gets exposed is kind of a fraud top 3 or 4 team. Not that I believe there's 3 or 4 elite teams in college football. Or Alabama plays their best 60 minutes, plays like they did against Ole Miss, plays like they did against Mississippi State.
Charles Barkley with us earlier. T-Pow says, Chuck, go get him, man. Georgia 32, Bama 10, he says.
Yeah, Chuck thinks it's going to be a blowout. He told you that.
He does. Smuff23 says, Charles is right about Mac Jones, and can you imagine him? Mac Jones has the best coach ever again.
I mean, he's lived a charmed life. By the way, the high school coach he played for is legendary. That Bowles High School down in Jacksonville, you've heard of them, right? Yeah. The guy he played for down there. Now, I think he ran a lot of wing T or something like that. But that's a legendary coach. So he has literally played, and I'm not going to say he's like the greatest coach in Florida high school history, but he's up there. I mean, the coaches he's played for are really, really incredible when you think about it. He has lived a charmed life.
Bama fanatic. My problem with Bill O'Brien is he's known our O-line is terrible all year, but for some reason he decided that he doesn't need to get in our O-line coaches, ass, or even try and scheme around the problems. Explain that. Bama fanatic wants to know why Bill O'Brien can't learn what the Alabama offensive line really is this year, and that's weak on the right side.
They run right a lot, don't they?
They do.
It really makes no sense why they continue to run right. Evan Neal is probably an NFL the only NFL lineman. Well, I shouldn't say the only one, but he's an NFL lineman, and he might be the only one you got that's an NFL lineman. Why are you not running it behind him as much as possible? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Hey, so by the way, this Mario Cristobal to Miami's building steam.
It is, but if Oregon comes in,
Because they're talking about getting Radonovich,
that's the report.
Dan Radonovich, the AD from Clemson.
Yep.
It would be Radonovich comes in, and then I bet he could sell Cristobal on, hey, look what I did for Dabo in this Clemson program. We spared no expense. Anything you need, we will get you.
It's a weird move by him to go from Clemson to Miami to me. That is a strange move.
But if you always think that you're always going to go back to your school at some point, when is it always? When is that time right?
Well, this is the time you would do it, but I just don't know that everybody has that appeal. Like the old school is drawing me back.
Well, I mean, the players haven't changed. I mean, they're still elite 5-star players coming out of the south of I-4, just like they were in the 80s, because I see Alabama get a bunch of them.
But there's a reason Miami's not getting all those players, and it's not always just the coach can't recruit.
I think they'll get those players now. Yeah. I think Miami will be a player in the ACC if he takes that job. Again, I'm not a huge Cristobal guy as far as the X's and O's.
Yeah.
But I think Cristobal is one of the best recruiters out there. So I think you'll be able to keep those guys there. I think it makes Miami relevant again.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of blown away that he would take this job, but now that the reports are out there, kind of package deal with the AD, it's kind of building steam now.
Real quick, more college football news away from games. Quinn Ewers, when I say that, what do you think of?
He's already a millionaire, and the guy has never taken a snap.
And he's in the transfer portal.
So he went to Ohio State.
Yep.
I think he's going to Texas Tech.
Left school early.
Yep.
Really wasn't supposed to be in college yet.
That's right.
Went to college.
Correct.
Practiced all year with Ohio State.
Accurate.
And C.J. Stroud's been so good that he's going somewhere else.
Pete Thamel says sources say top-ranked 2021 quarterback Quinn Ewers has informed Ohio State he's in the portal. Texas A&M, Texas Tech among the considerations.
Let me help him here. He ain't going to Texas Tech.
I've heard Texas Tech's the leader.
Well,
I heard that last week.
If he doesn't go play for Sark, who's an amazing
first of all,
offensive guy.
Is that Quinn's old high school coach?
There's a connection. I don't know what it is.
That could be it.
Yep.
Because that is a weird.
Yeah.
Well, there could be a dealership there that's gonna, give him.
That's true.
You know what they have in Austin, Texas?
Anything you want.
Yeah. Just stacks of money. Hey, you come and advertise this stack of money. Hey, you know what we have down at the First Bank of Texas?
Stack of money. Stacks of cash.
This is my stack. You get your stack. I'm Quinn Ewers for Texas football. That'd be the commercial I'd run. Thank you to Johnston RV Center for letting us do this little bonus show here. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, where we'll be here 10 to 12 Central Time, 11 to 1 here local time, taking you up to 2 hours before kickoff when we turn it over to CBS and the broadcast crew over there for you guys to watch the game. We'll also be reacting to what's going on in the Big 12 championship game tomorrow as we gather back here at Twin Peaks to watch that game and talk to you guys. Tell them about Johnston RV Center.
Johnston RV Centers are guys Rodney and Nick Johnston, I-65 exit 304 in home to Cherokee, America's #1 selling camper brand, JohnstonRVCenter.com. That is JohnstonRVCenter.com.
Well, Smuth, I see your answer to Stephen in the chat room. That is fantastic on how to get to Twin Peaks. Nowhere near Mercedes-Benz. We're up in Buckhead. That's where you come and hang out with us tomorrow. Come on and
my gosh,
and enjoy that. It's a great. Wants to know where Twin Peaks is, LT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen gives him the anatomically correct version of where the Twin Peaks
gives him the GPS. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you to everybody here in the Twin Peaks staff and Gordon and the manager here. You guys have been great to us all day. We'll see you all in the morning. Same to all of you in the chat room as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us on YouTube and Twitter. For Lance, Ryan, I'm Jim, everybody back in studio. We'll see you tomorrow morning live right here on all these platforms as we talk game day. Y'all go get one more good night's sleep, and we'll strap them up tomorrow.